My daughter-in-law just destroyed 6 months of my life in 30 seconds. I'm Monica Freeman, 60 years old, cancer survivor who finished her final chemotherapy treatment 3 weeks ago. Those 6 months weren't just about fighting lymphoma. They were about creating something that would outlive me. A white gold family ring. 4 birthstones for future grandchildren I might never meet. Every stone placed with trembling hands and a magnifying glass. Pure determination keeping me going when the nausea hit, when my fingers wouldn't stop shaking, when the port in my chest ached from another round of poison pumping through my veins. Christmas morning, 15 family members packed into my living room. The smell of sweet potato pie mixing with pine from the tree Robert and I bought our first year in this house. I can still see his face in the ornaments, still feel his presence in every corner of this place we built together. I handed Vanessa the walnut box. My hands shook slightly as she took it, not from nerves. The tremors never fully left after chemo. They probably never will. She opened it slowly. The ring caught the Christmas lights. Ruby for July, when Jasmine was born. Emerald for May, Vanessa's birthday. Sapphire for September. Diamond for December. 4 stones representing 4 grandchildren I prayed I'd live long enough to hold. For 3 seconds, I thought I saw something soften in her face. Maybe she understood what this meant, what it cost me to make it while my body was breaking down, cell by cell. I was wrong. Vanessa held the ring between 2 fingers, like she'd found it stuck to the bottom of her shoe. Her face twisted into something between disgust and pity. "Really, Monica? This is what you've been working on?" The room went quiet. Not the peaceful quiet of Christmas morning. The thick, uncomfortable quiet that comes right before something breaks. "It looks like something from a gas station jewelry counter," she continued. Her voice carried across the room, making sure everyone heard. "I spent 6 months on that ring," I said quietly. "During treatments, I wanted to give you something that—" "6 months on this?" Vanessa laughed. Not a kind laugh, the mean kind that cuts. "Oh, honey, you could have just gone to Kay Jewelers and saved yourself the embarrassment." My sister Gloria's smile vanished. My daughter Jasmine shifted on the couch, her face going pale. But Vanessa wasn't finished. She was just getting started. She turned to face the whole room, holding my ring up like evidence at a trial. "Everyone, look at this. Monica made me a craft project. Isn't that sweet?" The way she said sweet, like the word tasted rotten in her mouth. Marcus, my nephew, tried to help. "Actually, Vanessa, that looks really well made." "The stones are—" "Marcus, please," Vanessa cut him off. "I know quality when I see it. This amateur work belongs in a church craft fair, not on someone's finger." Then she looked directly at me. At this 60-year-old woman who'd poured her heart into a gift while fighting for her life, and she delivered the blow that changed everything. "Monica, maybe you should focus on not dying before you take up new hobbies. This infected-looking amateur work is exactly why Robert probably died miserable. He had to watch you fail at everything too." The silence that followed could have shattered glass. Gloria went white as paper. Jasmine's face turned 3 shades darker, her jaw clenched tight. Even Vanessa's own mother, visiting from Atlanta, looked mortified. But me? I felt something I hadn't felt in months of treatment. Clarity. Pure, cold clarity. Vanessa had just made the biggest mistake of her entitled life. Because what she didn't know, what nobody in that room knew except my lawyer, was that I wasn't just some dying old woman making amateur jewelry. I was the Freeman Educational Foundation, the anonymous benefactor who'd been paying every single penny of her medical school tuition for the past 4 years, $270,000. Every book, every fee, every living expense. And she was about to find out what happens when you destroy the hand that feeds you. I reached for my phone. My hands were steady now. Funny how anger works better than any medication. Vanessa noticed me moving but kept talking, kept performing for her audience, kept digging herself deeper into a hole she didn't even know existed. I unlocked my phone and opened my banking app. The Freeman Educational Foundation account loaded on the screen. Current balance, $283,412.67. 4 years of quarterly payments. 4 years of sacrifice from money Robert and I saved for 30 years. Money we were supposed to use for that trip to Paris he always promised me. That Alaskan cruise we talked about on quiet Sunday mornings. Instead, I gave it to the woman who just told me my dead husband died ashamed of me. Time to collect. Let me paint you the full picture of how cruel this really was. March 22nd, 2024. That's when Dr. Angela Brooks at Mercy General Hospital told me I had stage 3 lymphoma, 67% survival rate. She said 18 months of treatment ahead, maybe longer. I'm 60 years old, lost my husband Robert 3 years ago to the same disease, watched him fade away in that same hospital, in a room 2 floors down from where Dr. Brooks delivered my diagnosis. Suddenly, I'm staring down the same path that took him from me. But here's what kept me going during those brutal chemotherapy sessions: creating something lasting, a family legacy. That ring wasn't just jewelry. It was my promise that love survives, even when we don't. Every Tuesday and Friday for 6 months, I dragged myself to treatment. Poured in my chest, poison pumping through my veins, nurses trying to make small talk, while I watched that IV bag drip life and death into my body at the same time. Then I'd come home and work on that ring for hours. Had to modify all my jewelry tools because hands shake when you're on chemo. Did you know that? I bought a special magnifying lamp for $400, weighted handle files so I could grip them properly. Some days I could only work 15 minutes before the tremors got too bad. I'd sit there at my workbench, the same bench where Robert proposed to me 40 years ago, and I'd cry from frustration. But I kept going. The birthstones cost me $1,360 total. I drove to 3 different jewelers to find exactly the right quality. Ruby for July, the month Jasmine came into this world during a thunderstorm that knocked out half the city's power. Emerald for May, Vanessa's birthday, though clearly she never appreciated the gesture. Sapphire for September, diamond for December, each stone representing a grandchild I prayed I'd live to see, to hold, to love the way Robert loved Jasmine. The engraving nearly broke me. Had to etch the inside band with our family motto, "Love endures." 8 letters that took me 3 weeks to get right. My jeweler friend Frank, who taught me the trade back in 1992, said it was museum-quality work. Said he'd never seen someone push through that kind of physical limitation to create something so beautiful. Christmas Eve, I wrapped that ring in the custom walnut box I'd made from wood taken from the tree Robert and I planted when Jasmine was born. That tree still stands in the backyard, 40 feet tall now, branches reaching toward heaven, where I know Robert watches over us. I even made the little satin cushion inside, hand-stitched with thread Gloria gave me. Christmas morning arrives. Vanessa shows up in her new BMW, the one Jasmine bought her with her promotion money from the law firm. She's wearing a $1,500 necklace from Tiffany, designer everything, hair done at that fancy salon downtown that charges more for a cut than I spend on groceries in a month. I'm sitting there in my old cardigan, the one with the small burn holes from radiation treatments. Medical bracelet still on my wrist, the one that says lymphoma patient, chemotherapy in progress. The plastic feels foreign against my skin, a constant reminder that my body betrayed me the same way it betrayed Robert. Family starts opening gifts. Vanessa gives Jasmine a Rolex, expensive wine for my sister Gloria, gift cards for everyone else. Cold, calculated presents. No thought behind any of it, just money thrown at people to check boxes on her list. Then comes my turn to give gifts. I hand Vanessa the walnut box. My hands shake a little more than usual. They always do when I'm nervous, when something matters. "I made this for you," I say quietly. "For our family's future. For the babies I hope you and Jasmine will give me someday." She takes the box like it might contaminate her manicure, opens it slowly. The ring catches the Christmas tree lights Robert and I bought together 15 years ago, all 4 stones sparkling like tiny stars in a constellation of hope. For maybe 3 seconds, I thought I saw something soften in her face. Maybe appreciation, maybe understanding of what this meant, of what it cost me to make it while fighting for my life. I was wrong. She held it up between 2 fingers like it was a dead mouse someone left on her doorstep. Really, Monica? This is what you've been working on? It looks like something from a gas station jewelry counter. My heart sank, but I tried to explain. Vanessa, I spent 6 months crafting this during treatments. Each stone represents... She cut me off with that laugh, not a gentle laugh, a mean one that echoed off the walls Robert painted the year before he got sick. 6 months on this? Oh, honey, you could have just gone to Kay Jewelers and saved yourself the embarrassment. The room temperature dropped 10 degrees. Jasmine shifted uncomfortably on the couch, her lawyer instincts probably screaming at her that something was going very wrong. Gloria's Christmas smile vanished completely. But Vanessa wasn't done. Oh no, she was just getting started with her performance. She turned to address the whole room, holding my ring up like evidence in a trial she was determined to win. Everyone, look at this. Monica made me a craft project. Isn't that sweet? The way she said sweet made my stomach turn, like the word was poison in her mouth, like my love was something disgusting she needed to spit out. Marcus, Jasmine's cousin who flew in from Chicago with his wife Keisha, tried to diffuse things. Actually, Vanessa, that looks really well made. The craftsmanship is... Vanessa cut him off. Marcus, please. I know quality when I see it. I'm going to be a doctor. I understand value, standards, excellence. This amateur work belongs in a church craft fair, not on someone's finger. And that's when she crossed the line you don't cross with a cancer patient. That's when she looked directly at me, this dying woman who'd poured her heart and soul and every ounce of remaining strength into her gift, and delivered the blow that changed everything. Monica, maybe you should focus on not dying before you take up new hobbies. This infected-looking amateur work is exactly why Robert probably died miserable. He had to watch you fail at everything too. The silence that followed could have shattered every window in the house. My sister Gloria went white as paper. Jasmine's face turned so dark, I thought she might explode right there on the couch. Even Vanessa's own mother, Diane, visiting from Atlanta, looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. But me? I felt ice water running through my veins instead of blood. Cold, calculating clarity that comes when someone shows you exactly who they are and you finally believe them. Vanessa had just made the biggest mistake of her privileged life. Because what she didn't know, what nobody in that room knew except my lawyer and my banker, was that I wasn't just some dying old woman making amateur jewelry in her garage. I was the Freeman Educational Foundation, the anonymous benefactor who'd been funding her entire medical education for 4 years, $270,000 paid, another $35,000 waiting to be transferred for her final semester. And she was about to find out. You think that was bad? Vanessa was just warming up. See, when someone shows you their true character, you should believe them the first time. But Vanessa wanted to make absolutely sure everyone in that room understood exactly who she was. After her comment about Robert dying miserable, the room stayed frozen. 15 people holding their breath, waiting to see what happened next. The Christmas music playing softly in the background felt obscene. Silent night. How perfectly appropriate. Jasmine finally found her voice. Vanessa, that was completely out of line. My mother spent months fighting cancer while making that ring. You need to apologize right now. Jasmine, stop. Vanessa held up her hand like she was directing traffic in an emergency room. Your mother needs to hear this. We all need to stop enabling her delusions. Delusions. That's what she called 6 months of fighting lymphoma while creating something beautiful for a family I thought she was part of. She stood up from the couch, still holding my ring between two fingers like contaminated waste. Started pacing around my living room, the one Robert and I decorated together piece by piece over 40 years. The room where we celebrated birthdays and Christmases and anniversaries, where we held Jasmine for the first time, where we said goodbye to him 3 years ago. Monica, I'm going to be a doctor. Do you understand what that means? She gestured at my ring with disgust, her diamond bracelet catching the light. I deal with reality. Facts. Evidence-based medicine. This isn't reality. This is a sick woman's fantasy project. Look at yourself. You can barely hold a coffee cup steady, but somehow you think you can make jewelry? My medical bracelet caught the light as I reached for my water glass. The tremor in my hands was slight but visible, always there now. A permanent reminder of what the chemo took from me. Vanessa noticed and pounced on it like a predator. See? That's what I'm talking about. Those shaking hands probably couldn't even thread a needle properly. How am I supposed to wear something made by someone who can't control their own motor functions? Gloria couldn't stay quiet anymore. She stood up, her schoolteacher voice coming out sharp and clear. Vanessa, she has cancer. Those are side effects from chemotherapy. From the medicine that's keeping her alive. Exactly my point. Vanessa's voice got louder, more animated. She was enjoying this, performing for her audience. She's dying. Her brain probably isn't even working right anymore. Chemo fog, they call it. And instead of accepting reality and spending her remaining time doing something meaningful, she's playing arts and crafts like a child. She walked over to the mantel where Robert's picture Saturday. My husband's gentle smile looking down at this nightmare unfolding in the house we built together. The house where we raised our daughter to be strong and proud and kind. You know what's really sad? Vanessa continued, touching the frame like she had any right to. Robert was probably relieved when the cancer finally took him. At least he didn't have to watch Monica embarrass the family anymore with her amateur hour projects. That did it. Jasmine shot up from her chair, her 6-foot frame towering over Vanessa. That's enough. You don't get to talk about my father like that. You don't get to stand in his house and disrespect his memory. Your father was married to a failure, Jasmine. Vanessa's voice was cold now, clinical. Look around this house. Look at your mother. 60 years old, and what does she have to show for it? A mortgage she'll never pay off, and jewelry that looks like it came from a gumball machine. She turned back to me, eyes hard as winter ice. Monica, you're dying. We all know it. The statistics for your type of cancer at your age aren't good. Instead of wasting everyone's time with these pathetic attempts at relevance, why don't you do something useful? Like figure out how to not be a financial burden on Jasmine when the medical bills get worse. Financial burden. If she only knew. If she had any idea where her tuition money came from, where her book allowance came from, where every single dollar of her blessed medical education came from. I reached for my phone. Vanessa noticed, but kept talking, kept destroying herself with every word. Honey, I know this is hard. She crouched down to my eye level, lowering her voice to a fake sympathetic whisper that everyone could still hear. I know you're scared of dying, but making ugly jewelry isn't going to make you live longer. It's not going to bring Robert back. It's just embarrassing for all of us. She stood up and brushed imaginary dust off her designer dress. I mean, what's next? Are you going to start taking pottery classes? Maybe macrame? At some point, we have to accept that not everyone is artistic. Some people are just basic. Basic. 43 years as a master jeweler and she called me basic. But Vanessa saved the worst for last. She walked over to the Christmas tree, the one Robert and I put up together every year until he couldn't anymore, and held my ring up to the light, made a big show of examining it like she was some kind of expert appraiser. You know what this reminds me of? Those sad crafts they make in nursing homes. When people with dementia try to stay busy, it's the same quality level, the same desperation. She looked around the room, making sure she had everyone's attention, making sure her performance reached every corner. I actually feel bad throwing this away. It seems cruel to trash someone's final attempt at relevance, but I can't exactly wear it either. People would think Jasmine married beneath her station. Beneath her station. Coming from a woman whose entire education I'd been secretly funding for 4 years, the irony would have been funny if it wasn't so painful. Gloria stood up, shaking with rage I'd never seen in my little sister before. "Vanessa, you are the cruelest person I have ever met in my entire life. How dare you stand in Monica's house and—" "Gloria, please." Vanessa's voice was smooth, practiced. "We're all thinking it. I'm just honest enough to say it out loud. Monica is dying, and instead of facing that reality with dignity, she's clinging to these little projects like they matter." She walked back to me one final time, got right in my face. Close enough I could smell her expensive perfume, the kind that costs more than my monthly medication copays. "Monica, I'm going to be a doctor. I save lives. That's meaningful work. This." She dangled my ring in front of my face, letting it swing back and forth like a hypnotist's watch. This is what people do when they've given up on actually mattering. The room was dead silent except for that Christmas music still playing. "O Holy Night," Robert's favorite carol. I could almost hear him singing along in his deep bass voice, the one that used to fill this house with warmth. Vanessa dropped my ring into her purse like it was evidence she needed to dispose of later. Like it was trash she was doing me a favor by removing from my sight. "I'll find somewhere appropriate to donate this. Maybe a children's hospital craft room. They appreciate handmade things there. The kids won't know the difference between quality and whatever this is." That's when I opened my banking app. Because Vanessa had just sealed her fate with those words about saving lives and meaningful work. Time to show her what meaningful really looked like. What sacrifice actually cost. My phone felt steady in my hands for the first time in months. Funny how clarity works. 6 months of chemo treatments, hands shaking from medication, barely able to hold my coffee cup some mornings. But right now, rock solid. The Freeman Educational Foundation account loaded on my screen. Current balance, $283,412.67. 4 years of deposits, $70,000 per year, paid quarterly like clockwork. Every tuition bill, every textbook allowance, every living expense stipend for Vanessa's medical school education at Washington University. All of it from the dying old woman she was currently destroying in front of my family. She had no idea. No clue whatsoever. Let me tell you how this started. December 2020. Jasmine called me late one night, voice shaking in a way I hadn't heard since she was a little girl afraid of thunderstorms. Vanessa had gotten accepted to medical school but couldn't afford it. Student loans would bury them for decades. They'd have to postpone the wedding, maybe delay having children, put their entire life on hold. "Mom, I don't know what to do." My daughter's voice cracked over the phone. "She's so brilliant, so talented, but we just can't swing the numbers. The debt would destroy us." That night, I sat in Robert's old chair, the leather one where he used to read the newspaper every Sunday morning. I could still smell his cologne in the fabric even after 3 years, and I made a decision. I'd set up the Freeman Educational Foundation, anonymous educational charity, just me, my lawyer Thomas Chen, and a bank account funded by everything Robert and I had saved for 30 years. Our retirement dreams, our travel plans, the Paris trip he promised me since our honeymoon, the Alaskan cruise we talked about every anniversary. All of it went into that foundation. First payment went out January 18th, 2021, $70,000 to cover Vanessa's full first-year tuition, books, and living expenses. No loans required. Freedom to focus on becoming the doctor she said she wanted to be. Vanessa thought she'd won some mysterious scholarship. Called it a merit-based anonymous donor program for exceptional students. She'd actually posted about it on social media. Multiple posts. Bragging about being chosen by some wealthy benefactor who recognized her potential, her brilliance, her destiny. The irony was delicious even then. Year 2, same thing, $70,000 paid in quarterly installments. Vanessa's posts got more elaborate. She was blessed, she wrote, to have this angel investor supporting her future in medicine. God was looking out for her. The universe recognized her worth. Never once did she think to be grateful to the people actually in her life. Never once did she wonder if maybe, just maybe, someone close to her was making that sacrifice. Year 3 brought complications. Vanessa started researching her mysterious benefactor, wanted to thank them personally, even hired a private investigator, spending money I'd given her to track down the source of money I was giving her. The circular logic would have been funny if it wasn't so tragic. I had my lawyer create a shell corporation in Delaware, buried the paper trail under 3 layers of legal entities. Vanessa's investigator hit dead ends every single time. $2,000 she spent on that investigation, $2,000 of my money trying to find me. Meanwhile, she kept spending. Designer study materials, premium MCAT prep courses, that $1,500 stethoscope she just had to have, all covered by her scholarship, all covered by the woman she was currently calling basic and amateur. This year, year 4, I'd already paid the fall semester, $70,000 transferred in August, just 2 weeks before Dr. Brooks told me I had cancer. I remember sitting in that hospital room, port freshly installed in my chest, and authorizing the payment from my phone, wondering if I'd live long enough to see Vanessa graduate, hoping she'd make it all worthwhile. Spring tuition was due January 15th, another $35,000 ready to go. Vanessa had 8 months left until graduation, 8 months until she'd become Dr. Vanessa Taylor and start her residency at Children's Mercy Hospital. 8 months of debt-free medical education, all thanks to the dying old woman she'd just destroyed in front of 15 witnesses. I scrolled through the foundation's payment history on my phone, every transaction documented, every receipt saved. 4 years of meticulous record-keeping that Thomas insisted on. Thank God for paranoid lawyers. Jasmine noticed me on my phone, her lawyer instincts kicking in. "Mom, you okay? You look different. Are you feeling sick? Do you need your medication?" "I'm fine, baby." But I wasn't fine. I was done. Done being disrespected in my own home. Done being invisible. Done funding the education of someone who thought my life's work was infected amateur garbage. Done sacrificing for someone who would mock my dead husband's memory. Vanessa had called my ring worthless. Said I should focus on dying instead of creating. Mocked Robert's love for me. Called me a financial burden on my own daughter. Time to show her what a real financial burden looked like. I pulled up my contacts. Found Dr. Patricia Chen, Director of Financial Aid at Washington University School of Medicine. We'd spoken several times over the years through Thomas, always maintaining the anonymous benefactor fiction. She had no idea the Freeman Educational Foundation was just one woman in Southside Chicago with a jeweler's workshop and a broken heart. My finger hovered over her number. Once I made this call, there was no going back. Vanessa would graduate $70,000 in debt for spring semester alone. With her previous living expenses and the interest that would accumulate, she'd be looking at close to $300,000 in total educational debt by the time everything was calculated. Her residency salary wouldn't even cover the interest payments. She'd be financially underwater for decades, probably until she was my age, 60 years old, and still paying for the education she thought she deserved for free. But then I remembered her words. This infected-looking amateur work is exactly why Robert probably died miserable. He had to watch you fail at everything too. My Robert, my beautiful, patient, loving husband, who'd supported every dream I'd ever had, who'd held my hand through his own cancer treatments and never once complained, who'd made me promise to keep living, keep creating, keep loving after he was gone. Vanessa had crossed a line you don't come back from. She disrespected not just me, but Robert's memory, in our home, on Christmas, in front of our family. I scrolled to another contact. Raymond Hughes, director of the American Cancer Society's Research Division. We'd met at several fundraising events over the years, back when Robert was sick, and I was desperate to find meaning in the nightmare we were living. 2 phone calls. That's all it would take. One to cancel Vanessa's funding, one to redirect every penny to cancer research, to actually saving lives instead of funding someone who just talked about saving lives while destroying dying people. Vanessa was still talking to the room, still holding court, still convinced she was the smartest, most important person present, going on about realistic expectations and dignity in decline and the importance of facing mortality with grace. Grace. From a woman who just spent 15 minutes eviscerating a cancer patient in her own living room. When I stood up from my chair, the room went quiet. Something in my face must have changed. Gloria saw it first. "That's the look Monica gets when she's made a decision," she whispered to Marcus. "I haven't seen that look since she told Daddy she was marrying Robert no matter what he said." "Excuse me, everyone." My voice came out steady, calm, almost cheerful. "I need to make a quick phone call. Just some business I need to handle before we continue with Christmas." Jasmine looked concerned. "Mom, can it wait? We're in the middle of—" "No, baby." I looked at my daughter, this beautiful, strong woman I raised to stand up for herself and others. "It can't wait. Some things you handle immediately, or they poison everything else." Vanessa noticed me moving, but kept talking, kept performing, kept digging herself deeper into a grave she didn't even know existed. "Monica, putting that phone away won't make this conversation go away. We need to discuss your end-of-life planning, your financial situation, your impact on Jasmine's future. These are difficult conversations, but necessary ones." Necessary. She thought she was being necessary. I walked into the kitchen, away from the Christmas tree and the presents and the family photos on every wall, away from Robert's chair and his picture and the memories of 40 years of love in that room. Jasmine followed me. So did Gloria. They knew something was happening. They just didn't know what. "Mom," Gloria said quietly, closing the kitchen door behind us. "I've known you for 60 years. I've never seen you this calm when you're angry. What are you planning?" I pulled up my banking app again, showed them the screen. The Freeman Educational Foundation, $283,412.67. Gloria's eyes went wide as dinner plates. "Monica, oh my God, you didn't." Jasmine looked between us, confused. "Didn't what? What foundation? What money?" I turned to my daughter. "Baby, there is no mysterious scholarship. There is no anonymous benefactor selecting exceptional students. There's just your mother, spending everything your father and I saved for 40 years to give your wife the education she said she wanted." Jasmine stared at the screen like it was written in a language she didn't understand. Her mouth opened but no words came out. Just silence and shock and the slow realization of what I was telling her. "That's impossible." Her voice came out barely above a whisper. "She researched it. Vanessa hired an investigator. The Freeman Foundation is a real organization with a board of directors and a Delaware shell corporation and a lawyer who bills me $500 every time someone asks questions." "Yes." I held up the phone so she could see the transaction history. Every payment. Every quarter for 4 years, $70,000 per year, $280,000 total. Gloria sat down hard in one of the kitchen chairs, the same chairs Robert refinished by hand 20 years ago. "Monica, are you telling me that horrible woman in there just spent 15 minutes destroying the person who's been paying her way through medical school?" "That's exactly what I'm telling you." The kitchen went quiet except for the coffee maker gurgling, and Vanessa's voice still drifting in from the living room. She was showing someone pictures on her phone now, probably her latest social media posts about her blessed education and her bright future and how the universe rewards exceptional people. Jasmine's face cycled through confusion, realization, and finally rage. I'd seen that look before, the same look she got in the courtroom when she knew she had someone dead to rights. 4 years, Mom. 4 years of how much money? $270,000 so far. Spring tuition is due next month. Another $35,000 waiting to be transferred. Jesus Christ. Jasmine ran her hands through her hair, a gesture she'd inherited from Robert. He used to do the same thing when he was processing something difficult. Mom, why didn't you tell me? I could have helped. We could have split it. Because I wanted to do it for you, for your family, for your future. I thought Vanessa would be part of our family for life. I wanted to give her the education she deserved, the opportunity to become the doctor she said she wanted to be. I looked toward the living room where Vanessa was still talking, still convinced she was the smartest person in the room, still wearing that designer dress bought with money saved from her scholarship, from my sacrifice. And now I think Vanessa needs to learn about earning things instead of just receiving them. About gratitude instead of entitlement. About what it actually costs when someone loves you enough to give you everything. Gloria leaned forward, her school teacher instincts coming through. Monica, what are you going to do? I showed them my contacts list. Dr. Chen at the university, Raymond Hughes at the Cancer Society. I'm going to make 2 phone calls. One to cancel her funding. One to donate every remaining penny to cancer research. To actually saving lives instead of funding someone who just talks about it. Jasmine was quiet for a long moment. Her lawyer brain working through the implications, the consequences, the legal and moral complexity of what I was about to do. Then she looked up at me, with tears in her eyes. Mom, she just said Dad died miserable. She called your work infected garbage, in his house, on Christmas, in front of everyone who loves you. I heard every single word. And you've been paying for her to become a doctor, someone who's supposed to help people, someone who's supposed to understand suffering and compassion. The irony isn't lost on me, baby. Gloria stood up and walked to the kitchen window. She could see Vanessa through the doorway, gesturing dramatically with her wine glass, laughing at something on her phone, probably another comment on her social media about her blessed life. Monica, what do you need from us? I need you both to witness this. I need you to hear what I'm about to do so there's no question later about my state of mind, my capacity to make decisions, my reasons for what happens next. Jasmine nodded slowly. As your daughter and your lawyer, I'm telling you that you have every right to make whatever decision you want with your own money. That foundation is yours. Those funds are yours. And what Vanessa did in there was unforgivable. Gloria put her hand on my shoulder. Your father would be proud of you, Monica. Robert would be proud. Sometimes people need to face consequences. Sometimes love means setting boundaries, even expensive ones. We walked back toward the living room. Vanessa saw us coming but didn't stop talking, didn't register the change in atmosphere, didn't notice that the 3 women who just left the room were returning with very different expressions on their faces. She'd moved to the mantel now, right next to Robert's picture, standing there like she owned the place, like she had any right to be in his space, near his memory, in the home we built together. The thing about elderly people, she was saying to Marcus and Keisha, loud enough for me to hear, is that they lose perspective. They think their little hobbies matter because they're desperately clinging to relevance, to meaning, to the idea that their lives still have value. Marcus looked uncomfortable. Keisha was staring at her drink like she wished she could disappear into it. But Vanessa was on a roll now. Wine and arrogance and the absolute certainty that she was right and everyone else was wrong. As someone who's going to be a doctor, I have a responsibility to help people face reality, even when that reality is painful, even when it means telling hard truths that no one else wants to say. She turned to face me as I entered the room. Monica, perfect timing. I was just explaining to everyone why your craft project phase isn't healthy. Why we need to have honest conversations about end-of-life expectations and dignity and accepting what is instead of hiding behind delusions. The room went tense again, all 15 people feeling the shift, sensing something was about to happen but not knowing what. "Let her talk," I said calmly when Jasmine started to interrupt. "Let her finish. I want to hear everything she has to say." Vanessa smiled. That condescending smile doctors give patients they think are too stupid to understand medical terminology. "Thank you for being open to feedback, Monica. That's actually very mature of you. Very healthy." She took a sip of wine and continued. "See, in medical school we learn about something called displacement activity. It's a psychological term. It's when people facing trauma or terminal illness fixate on meaningless tasks to avoid confronting their situation, to avoid accepting their mortality." She gestured at my ring with disgust, still in her purse but visible, making jewelry, painting, scrapbooking. These are classic examples. The patient thinks they're creating something important, but really they're just hiding from death, from reality, from the inevitable. My sister Gloria made a noise like she was choking on her own rage, but Vanessa ignored her and kept going, building her case, making her argument, destroying herself with every word. "Monica, your cancer isn't going away because you made a ring. Robert isn't coming back because you carved his memory into metal. You're still dying, and these craft projects are just making it harder for your family to accept that reality, to prepare for what's coming, to move on with their lives." She walked over to where I stood, looked me right in the eyes with absolute certainty that she was helping, that she was being kind, that her cruelty was actually compassion. "I know this sounds harsh, but someone needs to say it. You're embarrassing, Jasmine. You're embarrassing yourself. And honestly, you're dishonoring Robert's memory by pretending he would have wanted you to waste your final months playing arts and crafts instead of getting your affairs in order." The wine was making her bolder now, more animated. She was enjoying this, enjoying the attention, enjoying the sound of her own voice, explaining medical concepts to people she considered beneath her intellectual level. "Do you know what Robert would actually want?" She didn't wait for an answer. "For you to face your diagnosis with dignity, to stop being a burden, to let Jasmine move on with her life instead of guilt-tripping her with these pathetic attention-seeking projects." Marcus tried one more time to interrupt. "Vanessa, I think you've said more than enough. Maybe we should." "Have I?" She spun to face him. "Because I don't think Monica understands how her behavior affects other people. Jasmine comes home stressed every day, worried about her mother's delusions, worried about the medical bills that are coming, worried about inheriting this mortgage when Monica dies." She gestured around the living room with her wine glass. "Robert's living room. Our living room. This house needs work. The roof leaks. The heating system is ancient. The foundation probably has cracks. But instead of addressing real problems, Monica spends her time making amateur jewelry that belongs in a garage sale." Jasmine's voice came out low and dangerous. "Vanessa, stop talking. Right now. Just stop." But Vanessa was too far gone to hear the warning, the whine and the self-righteousness, and the absolute conviction that she was right had taken over completely. "And the worst part," she continued, walking back to me, "is that she actually thought I'd wear this thing." She pulled my ring out of her purse again. "In public, where my classmates might see it, where my professors might notice it, where people who matter might judge me for it." She laughed that cruel laugh again. "Can you imagine? Oh, Vanessa, what a lovely ring. Where did you get it?" "Thanks, my dying mother-in-law made it in her garage between chemo treatments." That would really establish my credibility in medical school, wouldn't it? That would really help my professional reputation. That was it, the final straw, the last word she'd get to say before reality came crashing down on her entitled little world. I pulled out my phone and started dialing, put it on speaker so everyone could hear. Vanessa noticed, but kept talking. "Monica, Putting that phone away won't make this conversation disappear. We need to discuss your financial situation, your end-of-life planning, your impact on Jasmine's future income, and... Hello, Dr. Chen speaking. The voice came through crystal clear, professional, polite, completely unaware of the bomb I was about to drop. Vanessa stopped mid-sentence. Her wine glass froze halfway to her lips. Confusion flickered across her face. Dr. Chen, this is Monica Freeman from the Freeman Educational Foundation. I need to discuss Vanessa Taylor's funding immediately. The room went dead silent. You could hear people breathing, could hear the Christmas tree lights humming, could hear Vanessa's heart probably starting to race in her chest. Who is that? Vanessa whispered to Jasmine. What is she talking about? What foundation? Mrs. Freeman, wonderful to hear from you. Dr. Chen's voice filled the room. Though I'm surprised you're calling directly. Usually Thomas handles all foundation communications. Is everything all right? I'm calling to discuss some changes to our funding arrangement for Miss Taylor. Vanessa started shaking her head slowly, like she could make this conversation disappear through sheer willpower. No, wait, Freeman. Your last name is Freeman, but that can't be. The Miller Foundation is the Freeman Foundation, I corrected, named after my husband Robert Freeman, who died 3 years ago from the same cancer I'm currently fighting. The same cancer you just mocked me for having. The wine glass slipped from Vanessa's fingers, shattered on Robert's hardwood floor, red wine splashing across her designer shoes like blood. That's impossible. Her voice came out strangled. I researched it. There's a Delaware corporation. There's a board of directors. There's legal documents. There's me, just me, and a lawyer named Thomas Chen who's been very good at covering our tracks for 4 years, and a bank account funded by every penny my husband and I saved for 40 years. I held up my phone so she could see the banking app, the Freeman Educational Foundation account, $283,412.67. Every tuition payment, Vanessa, every book allowance, every living expense stipend, every single dollar of your blessed scholarship, all from the dying old woman whose work you just called infected garbage. Mrs. Freeman, Doctor. Chen's voice came through uncertain now. Is everything all right? You sound upset. Has something happened with Miss Taylor's performance? Dr. Chen, I need you to pull up Vanessa Taylor's complete financial record. Can you tell me the total amount the Freeman Educational Foundation has contributed to her education over the past 4 years? Silence on the other end. Computer keys clicking. The sound of someone's world about to change forever. Let me see here. Year 1, $70,000. Year 2, $70,000. Year 3, $70,000. Fall semester this year, $35,000. Total contribution to date is $245,000, with spring semester funding of $35,000 pending for a grand total of $280,000. Vanessa sank onto the couch like her legs had given out. Her face had gone from brown to gray to almost green, like she might be sick right there on Robert's Persian rug. $280,000, I repeated. Every penny from my retirement savings, from the inheritance Robert left me, from money I earned over 43 years as a master jeweler. The same jewelry work you just called amateur garbage that belongs in a church craft fair. The room was so quiet you could hear Vanessa's breathing getting shallow and fast, could hear her mind racing, could almost see the calculations running through her head. Mrs. Freeman, Doctor, Chen said carefully, I'm not sure I understand what's happening. Is there a problem with Miss Taylor's academic performance? Her standing in the program? No problem with her performance, Dr. Chen, just a problem with her character. You see, Vanessa didn't know I was her benefactor. She thought some random wealthy person had chosen her based on merit, on her exceptional qualities, on her brilliant potential. I looked directly at Vanessa. Her mascara was already starting to run. And about 30 minutes ago, she spent 15 minutes telling me and my entire family that my work is worthless, that my dying husband was ashamed of me, that I should focus on not dying instead of making jewelry, and that I'm a financial burden on my daughter. Oh my God. Dr. Chen's voice came through shocked. Mrs. Freeman, I am so sorry. That's completely inappropriate. That's not the kind of behavior we expect from our students. I assure you we will. I'm not finished, Dr. Chen. I need to inform you that the Freeman Educational Foundation will be terminating Vanessa Taylor's funding immediately, effective right now. This phone call serves as official notice. Vanessa's sob was audible across the room. No. 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 No, no, no. Monica, please. You can't. I didn't mean it. I was stressed about finals. The wine made me say things I didn't mean. Please, you have to understand. Additionally, I continued, ignoring her pleading, I'm redirecting the Foundation's remaining assets to the American Cancer Society for lymphoma research purposes. Every penny that was going to fund Miss Taylor's final semester will instead go toward actually saving lives instead of funding someone who just talks about saving lives while destroying dying patients. Samuel, no. Vanessa lunged toward me. Please. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. I was terrible. But please don't do this. I graduate in 8 months. Just 8 months. Please. I kept the phone on speaker and pulled up my second contact. Raymond Hughes at the American Cancer Society. Vanessa was on her knees now, literally crawling toward me across Robert's floor. Mascara running down her face in black rivers. Designer dress covered in red wine stains. Please, I'll do anything. I'll apologize publicly. I'll wear the ring every day. I'll tell everyone what I did. Please, Monica, I'm begging you. Hello, Raymond Hughes speaking. His voice filled the room. Professional. Warm. Completely unaware he was about to receive the largest single donation of his career. Raymond, it's Monica Freeman. I have a donation I'd like to make today. Vanessa's wail could probably be heard 3 houses down. No. Oh God, no. Please don't do this. Monica, always a pleasure to hear from you. Raymond's voice was genuinely happy. How are you feeling? How's the treatment going? What kind of donation are we discussing? Treatment finished 3 weeks ago. I'm in remission. And I'd like to donate $283,412.67. I'd like it designated for lymphoma research specifically, for the kind of cancer that took my husband Robert and almost took me. Vanessa collapsed completely, sobbing into the rug that Robert and I bought on our 20th anniversary trip to Morocco, the trip where he told me he wanted to grow old with me, where we planned our retirement, where we dreamed about grandchildren. That's incredibly generous, Monica. Raymond sounded stunned. Are you absolutely certain about that amount? That's a life-changing contribution to our research programs. Completely certain. It's money that was going towards someone's medical education. But I've decided cancer research is a better investment, a better use of the legacy Robert and I built together. I opened my banking app while everyone watched, while Vanessa sobbed, while Jasmine stood frozen, while Gloria gripped the back of the couch like it was the only thing keeping her upright. Vanessa, you wanted to know what meaningful work looks like. This is it. Every dollar I spent on your education is going to help save actual lives, real people who are suffering, people who deserve compassion and care and respect. Not the fantasy lives you talk about saving while you mock dying patients in their own homes. My finger hovered over the transfer button. Patricia was hyperventilating now, gasping for air between sobs. My loans. The interest rates. I'll never be able to pay them back on a resident's salary. You're destroying my entire future, everything I've worked for, everything I've dreamed about. I'm not destroying your future, Vanessa. I'm returning it to you, the one you would have had if you'd never met my family. The one where you actually have to earn things instead of having them handed to you by people you feel free to abuse. Congratulations on your independence. I pressed transfer. The screen showed processing for 3 seconds that felt like 3 years. Then, transfer successful. $283,412.67 sent to American Cancer Society Research Fund. Account number 4471892. Transaction complete. Done. Vanessa made a sound I'd never heard a human make before. Something between a scream and a moan, and the death rattle of every dream she'd ever had dying at once. Monica, Raymond's voice came through the speaker, this is extraordinary. This funding could help advance several promising treatment protocols. Dr. Sarah Martinez's breakthrough immunotherapy research. Dr. James Wang's early detection methods. You're literally helping save lives. Hundreds of lives, potentially. That's the idea, Raymond. That's exactly the idea. We'll make sure this donation is used exactly as you specified. Lymphoma research, lives like yours and Robert's. You're giving other families hope, Monica. Real hope. I hung up and looked down at Vanessa, who was still crumpled on the floor, still sobbing, still trying to process what had just happened to her perfect life. Get up. She looked up at me with mascara-streaked cheeks, snot running from her nose. All that designer polish stripped away to show the scared, entitled child underneath. I said, get up. She struggled to her feet, shaking so hard she could barely stand, had to grab the couch arm for support. Vanessa, you asked me to focus on not dying instead of making jewelry. Well, congratulations. I just focused on not dying by funding the research that might save the next person like me. The next Robert. The next mother or father or husband or wife who gets that phone call from Dr. Brooks telling them they have stage 3 lymphoma. Jasmine stepped forward. Mom, that was your entire retirement. Everything you and Dad saved. That was my choice to make, baby. Just like it was my choice to spend it on someone I thought would be part of our family. Someone I thought deserved the opportunity. Someone I was wrong about. I turned back to Vanessa, looked her dead in the eyes. You called my work infected amateur garbage. You said Robert died miserable watching me fail at everything. You called me a financial burden on my daughter. You mocked my cancer. You disrespected my husband's memory. In our home. On Christmas. In front of everyone who loves us. Each word hit her like a physical blow. She flinched with every sentence. So let me give you a reality check, Vanessa. You're about to graduate with $280,000 in debt. At current interest rates for medical school loans, that's roughly $3,000 a month in payments. Your residency salary at Children's Mercy will be about $4,500 a month before taxes. After taxes, maybe $3,500. The math was sinking in. Her face went from gray to green. That leaves me $500 a month to live on for the next 25 years. That's not possible. I can't survive on that. I can't pay rent. I can't afford food. I can't. Then I suggest you find a very generous benefactor. I picked up her purse from the coffee table and pulled out my ring. The one she'd called infected garbage. The one she said belonged in a children's hospital craft room. This ring you threw away? I had it appraised last week by Frank Morrison at Morrison Fine Jewelry. He said it's museum-quality work, custom white gold, 4 perfectly matched stones. Hand engraving that would cost $10,000 if you commissioned it today. Total value, $4,200. I walked to the mantel and placed the ring next to Robert's picture, right where it belonged. With family who understands what love and sacrifice actually look like. That's about 1.5 months of your loan payments, by the way, in case you were wondering. Vanessa tried one more time, voice barely a whisper. Monica, please, I made a mistake. A terrible, horrible mistake. But ruining my life won't bring Robert back. It won't cure your cancer. It won't change what I said. Please, I'm begging you. There has to be a way to fix this. I didn't ruin your life, Vanessa. I just stopped paying for it. There's a difference. My phone buzzed with a confirmation email from the Cancer Society. Your donation has been confirmed and will immediately begin funding Dr. Sarah Martinez's breakthrough lymphoma immunotherapy research. Clinical trials begin next month. Thank you for helping save lives. I showed Vanessa the email. There. Your education money is already at work. Already making a difference. Already doing something meaningful instead of funding someone who talks about helping people while destroying them. The aftermath came swift and brutal. Vanessa's phone started buzzing within minutes. Text messages, emails, voice calls coming in one after another. She answered the first one with shaking hands. Hello. Yes, this is Vanessa Taylor. What? Monday morning. Yes, I understand. She hung up and looked at me with pure terror. That was the University Financial Aid Office. They want to see me first thing Monday to discuss my loan restructuring for the $70,000 I owe for spring semester. Her phone kept buzzing. Another call. Dr. Peterson from Student Services. Yes. I received the email. Monday at 9. I understand. When she hung up, her hands trembled worse than mine ever did during chemo. They're reviewing my financial aid status. Something about significant changes in donor funding requiring immediate reassessment of student eligibility. Gloria watched this unfold with the calm of someone witnessing natural consequences. Vanessa, how exactly did you think this was going to work? You destroy the woman paying your bills and expect her to keep writing checks? Another call. Vanessa stared at the screen. It's my study group. Someone posted about this on social media. She showed us her phone. A Facebook post from Keisha. When you find out your family member has been verbally abusing the person who's been anonymously paying for her medical school, some people show you who they are when they think nobody's watching. 53 comments already. Keisha posted this 20 minutes ago, Vanessa whispered. How many people have seen it? How many of my classmates? Professors? Her phone rang again. She answered on speaker, too shaken to think straight. Vanessa Marie Taylor. Her mother's voice came through sharp and furious. I just got off the phone with Diane. Please tell me what I'm hearing isn't true. Please tell me you did not destroy the woman who's been paying for your education. Mom, I didn't know. If I had known. You didn't know, so that makes it okay? You thought it was fine to abuse an elderly cancer patient in her home on Christmas as long as she wasn't paying your bills? How did I raise someone capable of this? When Vanessa hung up 5 minutes later, she looked completely broken. My mother wants me to drive to Atlanta tonight. She said I'm not welcome until I figure out how to become a decent human being. Jasmine's voice was cold. Vanessa, pack your things and leave. Not just for tonight. For a while. Maybe permanently. What? Vanessa stared at her. Jasmine, you're my wife. For better or worse. Work through problems, yes, but what you did wasn't a problem. It was character assassination of my mother on Christmas in my father's house. Her phone buzzed with more notifications. People are tagging me, Vanessa said numbly, using my full name, Washington University medical student, screenshot for posterity. Someone said to call Children's Mercy and warn them about their new resident. This is going to follow me forever. First thing that comes up when anyone Googles my name. Another call. That's Dr. Matthews from Children's Mercy, the pediatrics director overseeing my residency. He's calling back. What if they rescind my position? What if I can't even start my career? Then maybe you should have thought about that before you humiliated a cancer patient in front of her family. Jasmine walked toward the bedroom. I'll get you a suitcase. Jasmine, please. No, Vanessa. My wife stopped at the hallway. You mocked my father's memory. You destroyed a woman who spent her life savings on you. I need time to think about whether I want to be married to someone capable of that level of cruelty. Vanessa looked around the room. 15 family members who'd witnessed everything, all staring with disgust and disappointment, not one sympathetic face. Just the ruins of every relationship she'd built. She looked at me one final time. "Monica, is there any way to undo this? Any way to fix what I've done? I'll spend the rest of my life making it right." I thought about Robert, about 6 months of chemotherapy, about the ring I'd crafted with trembling hands, about 40 years of dreams sacrificed so Vanessa could have hers. Some things can't be fixed, Vanessa. Some words can't be taken back. You showed me who you are when you thought it didn't matter, when you thought I was powerless. I walked to the window, snow falling on the street, where Robert and I used to walk hand in hand. You wanted me to face reality. Here's yours. You're about to learn what life costs without someone else paying for it, to earn instead of receive, to face consequences instead of skating past them on privilege. I turned back to face her. And maybe you'll become the doctor you claimed you wanted to be, the kind who understands suffering, who respects patience, who knows that every person is fighting a battle you know nothing about. But you won't learn those lessons on my dime. Vanessa left 30 minutes later, suitcase in hand, face destroyed by tears, phone still buzzing with notifications that would follow her for years. The rest of us cleaned up in silence, picking up wrapping paper, sweeping up the shattered wine glass that marked the moment her world ended. Gloria found me in the kitchen washing dishes. Robert's dishes from 40 years ago. "You okay?" she asked quietly. "I don't know yet. Ask me in a month when the anger fades and I have to live with what I've done." What you've done is set a boundary. Demand respect. Teach someone that actions have consequences. She dried a plate. What Robert would have wanted. Maybe. Or maybe I destroyed a young woman's life because she said cruel things while drunk on Christmas. Gloria took my hands, stopped me from washing. "Monica, she didn't just say cruel things. She spent 15 minutes systematically destroying you, mocked Robert's memory, called your life's work garbage. Those aren't drunk words, those are character words." "I know." I squeezed her hands that still trembled slightly. "I know." We finished the dishes, turned off the tree lights, said goodbye to family members who hugged me tighter than usual. When everyone was gone, I sat in Robert's chair, held my ring that Vanessa had thrown away. The 4 stones caught the moonlight. "Did I do the right thing, baby?" I asked the empty room, asked Robert's picture on the mantel, asked the ghost of 40 years of love still living in these walls. The house didn't answer, but the ring felt solid in my palm, real, made with love, despite trembling hands and a body breaking down. Some things matter whether anyone else sees their value or not. Some things are worth creating, even when you're dying. Some things endure,